Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here at, I know, short notice. I really want to thank the members of the media who are here. Just need to acknowledge those present with us, our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, our other cabinet ministers who are here, permanent secretaries who are here, and of course our special guest today, Jeremy Lewin, the U.S. Undersecretary for Foreign Assistance, Humanitarian Affairs, and Religious Freedom. And I want to acknowledge Laura Ortiz-Rodriguez, who's also here, and she's the Director of Media Affairs in the U.S. State Department, and of course, Scott Renner, the chargé here at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, and other members of the U.S. government team here. This is going to be very short. We are in the middle of cabinet, but this is a very important area that we want to discuss. The United States has always been a friend of Jamaica, and so we're very honored to have you here. And so we're going to start things off with a statement from Jeremy Lewin, the U.S. Undersecretary for Foreign Assistance, Humanitarian Affairs, and Religious Freedom.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here. The Secretary Rubio on one of his first international trips came to Jamaica and said, correctly that Jamaica is one of the United States' oldest and closest allies, and that means we will be here in the good times and also in the bad times. So we are very fortunate that we were able to mobilize a tremendous amount of U.S. government resources to help respond in the early days of this crisis. We formed a disaster response team even before the hurricane made landfall. They were able to get here, within a day, as soon as the airports and air infrastructure allowed them to come. We brought search and rescue teams from LA and Fairfax County, 70 personnel that we brought in here. They had dogs and chainsaws, and they're experts at sort of moving roads, finding people, rescuing them from difficult situations, and then almost immediately started bringing humanitarian assistance in from our hubs, activating our network of partners, NGOs, from Samaritan's Purse to the UN World Food Program. And in addition, the United States Department of War has significant assets in the region, which we are able to, bring under our control. So we were able to bring in heavy lift helicopters, nearly 100 military personnel. They've moved more than 500,000, and that was this morning, and now they're doing a few more flights, so it's going to be way more, 500,000 pounds of life-saving aid. And so their work continues, and our work continues. So with that in mind, I'm announcing an additional $10 million in critical life-saving assistance to the people of Jamaica. That brings our total to $22 million US to date. The financial commitments are only one side of it. That doesn't include all the military personnel, all the search and rescue, but the financial commitments are very significant and help underscore just how important Jamaica is to the United States and to the Secretary. Jamaican people, like our people, are proud and resilient, and we have every faith that they will rebound quickly and will build back even better. With that in mind, we will be here. We will be here tomorrow. We will be here next month. We'll be here for every stage of this recovery. We look forward to continuing. I think Jamaica, this is our backyard. I mean, I think like Laura, who's here, the Secretary, and I are all from Miami, which is like 500 miles away. We have, 1 million Jamaican Americans. I learned that 2.5 million Americans, we think, come here every year. So it's just tremendously close ties. And that is, we take it very, very, very seriously that we look after our neighbors and our allies, and we'll continue to do so. It's a privilege to be here, and thank you, Prime Minister, for your leadership during this crisis.
Thank you very much, Undersecretary. We've always said, the U.S. and Jamaica have such a close relationship, and you've definitely been one of the partners that's been really at our side throughout this difficult period, and we thank you. We're now going to be having a statement from our Prime Minister, who is leading us all in this area of relief and then moving into recovery and reconstruction. And today we're having our cabinet meeting where we're discussing a lot of these areas. And you see his leadership in terms of the way that we should look at reconstruction eventually. And so his leadership is absolutely critical. It was so wonderful before the hurricane to see his leadership in action, and then now after the hurricane to see him leading us and saying, we've got to do this, we have to do more. And so it's an honor for me to have the Prime Minister now give his statement. Please welcome Dr. the Most Honourable Andrew Holness.
Thank you, Minister. Let me welcome Under Secretary Lewin and his team to Jamaica, and to immediately say thanks on behalf of the people of Jamaica for the support that you have given, which you have now increased from $12 million with an additional $10 million which will go right into the humanitarian relief and support effort. The United States was one of the first responders of our international partners who would have come to give support. And that support was particularly invaluable, particularly in the logistics operations, which your helicopters would have augmented. There are many communities in Jamaica that would have been marooned, and the only way to get to them would have been through the capacity for airlift. We do have some airlift capacity in the JDF, but certainly none in comparison to the United States fleet. And you made several of your helicopters, heavy lift helicopters, available to us, and that was crucial in our ability to reach several marooned communities. The provision of other humanitarian relief also important, and now with your even more greater generosity with a further $10 million that will assist. Now, I know that there are some who will hear these huge figures and believe that it is the extent of the challenge that we face, but I hasten to add that having been hit by a Category 5 hurricane, the damage that has been done to our economy, to our infrastructure, not to mention to the lives of ordinary Jamaicans, housing, their businesses, it is in excess, and we've been very conservative. The damage is between $6 to $8 billion, and we haven't completed our assessment yet. We expect that that figure will look a little bit differently after we have completed the assessment. In fact, it will be probably much more. So Jamaica's recovery will inevitably have to include support from our partners. And so it is reassuring to know that the United States, our closest partner in this region, is supportive and willing to provide us with as much help as we need. And we do take that with some comfort. But I would also say that Jamaica is investing heavily in its own resilience and its own ability to recover. It is not an easy task to do that, but it is something that we must do as an independent nation, to stand on our own 2 feet and be able to treat with the problems that we face. But it is reassuring to know that as we strive as a resilient people, as a strong people, we have good friends that can be with us along that journey to recovery. Presently, we are in the relief phase of the operations, which I suspect is probably more difficult than the recovery and construction phase, because this is the phase when we have to address the issues of human suffering. Persons are without food, without water, without shelter, without medicine. And that immediate phase creates sometimes very difficult emotional responses. The role of the government is to be empathetic, to be responsive as quickly as possible, but also to build the systems that will ensure that there is an enduring response. Because after a Category 5 hurricane, the relief phase of the disaster is likely to be extended. We're talking several weeks, if not months, of the need for an established supply chain of humanitarian assistance and relief. And then, of course, there is the whole recovery phase, which is when we would seek to get our electrical grid, our water and telecommunications, our road infrastructure back to some semblance of normalcy so that people can take their lives into their own hands once again. And then, of course, we will move simultaneously into the reconstruction phase, and that will be another area in which we would be seeking to partner with the U.S., particularly in this phase, with investments in infrastructure, technology transfer, and getting commerce back on its feet in Jamaica. So again, Mr. Undersecretary, thank you for coming with your team. Your charge d'affaires has been working very hard and doing quite a great job here in Jamaica. Again, thank you on behalf of the Jamaican people.
All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to clear here so that we can have the official photo between the Prime Minister and the Undersecretary. Thank you all.